So, hi and welcome to another episode of Gardening with Josh. Just kidding. Today we're going to be looking at two vines. This one is Ipompea acuminata, also known as Blue Dawn. Um, Blue Dawn Skyflower. It's in the same family as sweet potatoes. So Ipompea, it's a morning glory. This one is actually a perennial morning glory. And the most common morning glory is the annual one, Ipompea purpurea, easy to grow from seed. Like the name says, it's an annual. It only lives 1 year. Resows like crazy. Could be kind of a thug. This one should not have that problem. It doesn't self-sow, but it does. If the branches touch the soil, it will root and make a bunch of new plants along the way. Easy to yank out if it gets out of control. It's a fast-growing vine. In winter, it should die back when it's a little bit too cold for it. If you live a little bit more warm or you plant it in a shelter area, it should be a perennial. I mean evergreen. I actually saw one years ago near this church that it was actually climbing up an Italian cypress, and it reached the top. So these guys grow quick. If you live like at a mobile home or you have a chain link fence, this is the perfect vine to cover that up. Now let's get this guy out. It's going to be kind of difficult one-handed. Oh, cool. So it's out of the pot. Let's take a look at those roots. It's not root bound, not yet. So it's good that we got to it when we got to it. This species is actually, let me yank these up. These are Mexican petunia, Ruia Britannica. They self-seed everywhere. Kind of a weedy plant. It's a pretty weedy plant, but I don't want it. Okay, I'm going to plant it near the base of this wall. Let's get this stuff out. It looks like something else was here. Don't know what that was. This species actually makes tubers. And I'm not sure if I mentioned this at the beginning, but this plant is actually related to sweet potatoes. So sweet potatoes, everyone thinks a sweet potato is actually related to potatoes. They're not. They're in two different families. True potatoes are members of the family Solaminaceae, which includes deadly nightshade, Brugmansia, datura, tomatoes, eggplants, and so on. The majority of that family is extremely toxic, so be careful with them. Sweet potatoes are part of the family Convolvulaceae. And there's two prominent genuses in that group. There's Ipompea, which we have discussed, and Convolvulaceae, I believe. Really cool plants. A lot of them have a bad name for themselves because they're kind of thugs. I don't know if anyone's familiar with bindweed. Bindweed is in that family. A lot of those guys, just like sweet potatoes, actually make tubers, and that's how they overwinter. This is one of those species. The tubers of this one, I don't believe are edible, and I wouldn't go about trying them. You see how it has those little, let's see if I could get it to focus, those little nubs on the stem? That's roots about to develop. Oh, what we're going to do is I need to widen that hole just a little bit. There we go. If you look at the soil here, you can see bits and pieces of organic material, but there's a lot of red sand. It isn't the worst soil, but it's not the best. There we go. There we go. Press it down. And there we go. Let's plant it. Now, in the coming days, we're going to make a wire trellis, and we're going to have it trained so it fans out behind it. It's going to look really nice. The flowers on this one, just like the name says, Blue Dawn, they're blue. They're really nice dark blue. And in front of it right here is a pink rose. I think this is Pink Dawn or Pink Fairy. I'm not too sure. So the blue and the pink is going to look really, really nice. And that pink color is repeated down here with this wild pear. Looks beaten up, the heat has been eating it up, but it has some buds, so I'm hoping it grows. And that one we're going to actually wall train it, which when that happens we have a video about that. But yeah, this plant's going to do pretty good. Now if you're on the hunt for this plant, be careful. There's Ipompea purpurea, the annual species that also goes under the name Blue Dawn. Last year I actually thought I had this one and I planted it there, and I'm pretty sure that's when I yanked up that root system. And again, it's an annual, it's only going to survive 1 year. So one of the ways you can tell them apart is the leaf. Ipompea purpurea, the leaves tend to stay like this, rounded, heart-shaped. Acuminata, the actual perennial species, the leaves will mature into this trifloriate shape. So that's a key way to tell the difference between the two. But yeah, so last thing I need to do here is water it in. I'm not going to bother showing you guys that. We're going to actually move on to our other vine. So here we are back at this bed. I don't know if you guys saw the video where I had yanked up some canas and we planted some new plants. There's a couple of new additions that we could go over really quick. There's Involvulus, which is actually related to the morning glories, so like the plant that we discussed earlier. There's a Coreopsis, Big Bang. And if you can see, it's burning. It went through some shock, but it's starting to recover. We have some annuals. I can't remember the name of that one. Some African daisy, and then we have a Veronica. A lot of the plants here look kind of beaten up and shabby, especially look at that one. And that's because the new ones that I just told you guys about, they got transplanted like probably 4 or 5 times from these pots that kept on getting waterlogged. So they've been through a lot. So probably by next year everything will look a lot better. The canas went through shock. If you guys remember, I cut them back pretty hard. We had a delphinium that was right here that went dormant, and hopefully it comes back up. We'll see. And everything else is struggling along, but again, I think by next year this place will fill up, and that's something to keep in mind. Don't be discouraged that your plants look reedy and beaten up. It just means that they need some time to recover. And honestly, you just have to deal with it and trust that they're going to grow and thrive later on. Trust the process. So what we're going to do here is we're actually going at this guy. So if you remember earlier, I was saying that sweet potatoes are not real potatoes. And we discussed really briefly the family Solanaceae, or the deadly nightshade family. This plant right here is in that family. And it's one of the toxic members. It's also called potato vine, is one of the common names, or Solanum jasminoides. It is not edible. Don't eat any bit of it. If you have pets and like eating stuff and you see fruit on this, I recommend you don't have that. My pets like eating stuff, but I don't think this guy's going to make fruit. And if it does, I just chop them off. So we're going to add 2 vines here, but I only have 1. The other vine's going to go on that side. So what we're going to do here is, like we discussed with the other vine, we're going to have a wire trellis system right here. And it's going to go up, and then it's going to fan this way. This plant has white flowers, really attractive. One of the nice things about a lot of the potato family type plants is that they're what they call buzz pollinated, which means bigger bees like bumblebees, like carpenter bees, go up to the flower and they actually shake their abdomens or they flap their wings at a certain frequency to actually cause the plant to release that pollen. So I'm hoping this guy will attract xylocopas, which are carpenter bees, bumblebees, and so on. They're really abundant in my yard, so they're kind of getting spoiled here. But okay, let's get planting. Just like before, I'm going to lean the plant over and gently yank it out. Some good compost. There we go. It's not root bound, and it's actually kind of shaky, so I'm probably going to have to plant this guy a little bit deeper. And that's another thing, you could plant these types of, well, you could plant most vines a little bit deeper and it should root from their main stem. If you're gardening where it's really wet or where you have clay soil, don't do that. You're asking for problems. But since I garden where it's sandy and drought is my main problem, I think I should be fine. Fingers crossed. So we're going to plant the plant, and I'm going to probably have to move this guy now. Poor thing. Like, why are you doing this to me? Okay. We yank that guy up just for now. Wait. Oh, let me use my other hand. There we go. I have watered the soil, I have watered the whole yard earlier, so they won't be going into dry soil. And I don't know if you guys could hear that sound. The soil here is hard as a rock. Okay, I think I'm going to have to use my hand. Yeah, I think that delphinium is gone. That sucks. He was right here, and all that's here now is this dirt. It happens. That just means I have to buy a new one. Huh. Try again. And that's something to keep in mind. So now the vine is planted. We firmed it in. And now all we need to do is, again, water it in. I won't bother showing you guys that. Think everyone knows how to water. And make a trellis system. So we'll do that tomorrow.